Lesson 1.7 is about the distributive property, which is the last property that we have to learn. And this one happens to be my favorite. By the end of today, you should be able to identify and apply all of the properties that we use when simplifying an expression. Okay, so distributive property doesn't have a very good word definition, but what we're actually doing when we use the distributive property is that we're sharing equally with everything. So we're sharing whatever is on the outside of the parentheses equally with everything that's on the inside of the parentheses. For example, we'll look at this top one. They have 4 on the outside, 20 plus 6 on the inside. Okay, so because these are all numbers, you would add the 20 plus 6 and then multiply it by 4. And that would give you 104. Okay, but what they really want you to do is practice in case you get to a point where there isn't numbers. So what you're going to do is you're going to share this 4 with this 20. And then you're going to share this 4 with the 6. Okay, and because it's 4 next to something in parentheses, we're multiplying. So the first thing you're going to do is 4 times 20. Then you're going to add, because that's what it says to do, 4 times 6. Okay, well 4 times 20 is 80. 4 times 6 is 24. And 80 plus 24 gives us that same 104. All right, let's try it with a mixture of numbers and variables, which is what you're going to see the most. Okay, so this 4 needs to get shared with the x. So I'm going to have 4 times x. Then we have a plus. Now we share the 4 with the 5. So 4 times 5. Okay, well 4 times x just leaves me with a 4x since we don't know what x stands for. Plus 4 times 5 is actually 20. At this point I don't have anything else that I can combine, and that's my final answer. Letter B only looks different because they moved our multiplying number to the other side. If it's less confusing for you to have it on the left, you are welcome to rewrite it because the multiplication order doesn't matter. Okay, then the same rules still apply. So I'm going to take this number on the outside and share it with each thing on the inside. So I will have negative 6 times 4b, and then a minus negative 6 times 1. Okay, well negative 6 times 4b is negative 24b, minus a negative 6 times 1, which is negative 6. Okay, the last thing that we can do is when I see that I have a minus and negative, I should turn that into a plus. Okay, so my final answer is negative 24b plus 6. Okay, this would be a great spot for you to pause and try these 3 problems on your own before you come back and see what I got for my answers. Okay, I'm going to share this 5 with both the x and the 7. So I will have 5x plus 5 times 7. Excuse my writing. 5 times x plus 5 times 7. Okay, well 5 times x is 5x, and 5 times 7 is 35. Okay, if this is still a little bit confusing and you're not sure where to put things, I have another method that you are welcome to use if you want to, if it helps you. If it doesn't, don't worry about it, but we call this the box method. So you need as many boxes as numbers in your parentheses. So in this case, I have 2 numbers inside the parentheses being added together. Out here on the left side is where we put the number on the outside, and up on top we put each, x plus 7. Okay, the x goes with the first box, the 7 goes with the second box, and the plus just goes in the middle so that we don't forget we're adding. Okay, now we're going to go 1 box at a time. This box includes these 2 things. So what is 5 times x? Just 5x. Then this open box has the 5 and the 7. 5 times 7 is 35, and we know it's a plus because that's what it said. So 5x plus 35 can also be found with this box method. Okay. Next one, I need to share 12 times 3, which is 36, minus 12 times 1/6 t. If you remember, multiplying a whole number times a fraction, you should make the whole number into a fraction, and then you can simplify before you multiply. Both of these can be divided by 6, so that will turn into a 1, and this will turn into a 2, so that when I multiply straight across, I get 2 over 1, which is really just 2t. All right, this third one has another little trick to it. Change our colors so you can tell them apart. Okay, this is your outside number, so I can move it if I want to. Otherwise, I just know that it has to be shared with both of these. So I will have negative y times 2y minus negative y times 1. Okay, well, when you have two variables that you're multiplying together, that actually gives you an exponent. So negative 1y times positive 2y gives me negative 2y to the second power, because I have two y's that are being multiplied. Minus a negative y times 1 is negative y, and then a minus a negative turns into a plus. If you got that one without me, you did a great job. Ooh, now it looks like it's getting even trickier, but all that I have to do is just share with more things. So I'm going to share 3 with x. So 3 times x gives me 3x, plus 3 times 2x gives me 6x, minus 3 times 7 gives me 21, plus 3 times 8 gives me 24. Now I wouldn't stop here because I haven't yet combined like terms. I can actually make this simpler than it looks. I need to look for the things that can be put together. So if I have 3 x's right here and 6 x's right here, can't I just say that I actually have 9 x's? Then, remember, you're always using the symbol in front of the number. So I have negative 21 plus 24, which leaves me with a positive 3. Final answer, because there's nothing left that I can put together, is 9x plus 3. Okay, bottom question. The x has to be shared with the 2x. So like I said before, when you multiply an x times an x, that means x to the second power. So I actually have 2x to the second power minus x times 4, which is just 4x, plus x times 3, which is 3x. And then I can combine negative 4x plus 3x, which will leave me with 2x squared minus 1x. Feel free to stop, rewind, and rewatch these if this is a lot of steps and it's confusing you. Okay, remember that a fraction bar acts like a grouping symbol and actually means division. So any fraction that has a number over another number can also be written as the top number times 1 over the bottom number. So if I have 3/4, that would be the same as 3 times 1/4, because when I multiply a whole number times a fraction, remember that I would have to make that whole number into a fraction and then go straight across, which would bring me back to that 3/4. Okay, so we need to write an expression that is equivalent to 7x plus 2 over 5 using that rule that we just talked about. So all we're going to do is take the top number, move it to the side. So we'll have 7x plus 2. And then in its place, we're going to put a 1 and leave it like that. That's all they're looking for. Okay, so 4x minus 16 times 1 over 3. Then when I distribute this out, it'll end up looking just like it did when we started. 11 plus 3x all times 1 over 6. Okay, remember that one of our rules, the multiplication property of -1, told us that if I multiply anything times -1, I get the opposite of that number. Okay, that's what this is showing me. So this means we could rewrite an x plus 6 in parentheses with a negative out front as having a -1 out front. Remember that if just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. So that negative sign really is like having a -1 out front. Okay, so what is the simplified form of each expression? If I looked at a and remember that that's really like a -1 that I have to share, -1 times a gives me -a, and -1 times 5 gives me a -5. If you don't like having two symbols like that, adding a negative is the same as subtracting. So these would both be correct answers. Second one, same idea. If I do -1 times -1x, negative times negative just gives us a positive, and a -1 times 31 gives me a -31. Sharing my -1 here, -1 times 4x gives me -4x, minus a -1 times 12 gives me -12. Okay. Last but not least, -1 times 6m is -6m, minus -1 times 9n gives me another -9n. Deli sandwiches cost $4.95. What is the total cost of 8 sandwiches? Use mental math, okay? Just like the other day, I don't want you to write it down. I want you to try this with mental math, okay? And then tell me what you think. What they're describing here is that I would round up to make it a nice even number. $4.95 is awfully close to $5. So we're going to say $5, sorry, not 5 o'clock, $5 times 8 sandwiches is going to cost me $40. But how much extra did I pay by rounding that up? Well, I rounded it up by 5 cents times 8, which gives me 40 cents. And now I need to take those away because I'm not actually going to pay that extra. So $40 minus 40 cents gives me $39.60 for 8 sandwiches. Okay, try this one in your head. If the deli sandwiches cost $3.95 each, what is the total cost of 6 sandwiches? Okay, if you could follow that. We rounded up to $4 multiplied times 6, which told us $24, but that was charging an extra 5 cents per sandwich, which made us 30 cents over. So when we subtracted, that gave us a total of $23.70 for 6 sandwiches. Okay, this is the end of day 1. So if you are not in advanced, you can work tonight on this assignment. The lesson quiz, you could also start, just do the ones that you can. This will be a 2